Welcome back to the Graph podcast, and on today's show, we continue our coverage from the Cannes Film Festival. Today, we're taking a look at the latest from Kirill Severenikov. I hope I didn't butcher that name too much, and it's Tchaikovsky's wife. The tumultuous relationship between Peter Tchaikovsky, the most famous Russian composer of all time, and his wife Antonina Miliukova. So that is Tchaikovsky's wife. In the cast, we have Alena Mikhailova as Tchaikovsky's wife, Antonia Milukova, and Odin Lindbirin as Peter Tchaikovsky, who is probably most well known for Swan Lake among many other great compositions. Now, how is this film composed to tell the tale of infidelity and descent into madness from a neglective husband? Well, although repetition and build up oftentimes works quite well in music, it doesn't always translate one to one into a narrative and its build up as well. So the endless amounts of basically same story beats being repeated over and over and over again in this movie that also comes in at a 143 minutes long becomes just increasingly frustrating to watch as it goes along. Now, that could also be the intent of a story like this, where you are supposed to grow more frustrated with the lead as she kind of slowly descends. Her reasoning becomes less understandable and stuff like that, but in the narration and in the writing, it becomes apparent that there's just not a lot of substance, and it just becomes boring at one point, and it just isn't even able to be saved by pretty visuals set in the late 19th century. We got some nice set decoration and just a great use of just visuals, but it's not saved in that regard because the performance from the lead is also kind of stiff. That might be intentional. I don't know if it's on the side of the script or if it's more a performance thing, where that didn't work for me, but it just becomes frustrating to see this character descend into madness and not even understand as an audience member where that is coming from. It just kind of happens and you're supposed to go along with it, and I just didn't feel like I was entranced in the whole story at a single point throughout the film. I never got to figure out why she has such an obsession with him. Is it because of his brilliance, his talent, his status? But later on, it becomes clear that that's not the case. So I just was kind of confused for most of the film. Now, I also was a bit disappointed that we never get like an extended sequence where we get to see his music performed. There's one or two moments where it is hinted at or we see a bit of it, but I guess that was intentional in a way that we are supposed to tell her story and not for him to take over. But that's disappointing regardless. I think we could have done without another beat of her going "I love you" and him saying "I don't." That's kind of just comes up again and again in this film. So throughout the movie, we spent most of the time with Antonina and see her basically go after the same quest of getting validation from her husband that he cannot give her. And this might be considered a spoiler, but I guess it is a historic fact. So if you don't want to know anything, I guess, going into this film, then I guess skip ahead by 20 seconds or so. But Tchaikovsky was gay, so that's another element that comes kind of in, but is not really thematically really weaved into the story in a sense that it connects to her, because she still just wants the validation, and it just never gives us the depth to why she seeks that, why she has maybe an insecurity, what she sees in him. There's just a lot lacking, and we're supposed to fill in that motivation of hers just because it's there, and love is unconditional and has no rhyme or reason, and it just becomes a bit repetitive and quite honestly a bit annoying as well. Pair that with the performance that doesn't really give much, or leaves a bit too desired. It's very stiff. And apart from really nice visuals and the setting of the late 19th century, we don't really get much more out of this film. So, although Tchaikovsky's Wife is an interesting period Parma slash biopic, on paper it fumbles the execution and Mirando's its way to an unsatisfying conclusion. I'm landing on a 4 out of 10 for Tchaikovsky's Wife. I've been listening to some of Tchaikovsky's music throughout writing some of my reviews here in Cannes, so I guess that is something that at least I could shout out. Go listen to Swansea. The Nutcracker is also a great ballet that he did. And if you want more coverage from Cannes, you can follow the audio feed over on your preferred podcast app, and leave a like and subscribe if you're watching over on YouTube. So yeah, I'll see ya.